Hello, welcome to the fifth and final iteration of the Information Timeline series. We're going to be talking about books, and we have a cat. Say hi, Stella. So hello again. My name is Kim Luby, and I am here because I wouldn't be a librarian if I didn't talk about books. So you can find me at Atkins Library at kluby@uncc.edu. So our agenda for today, we're going to be talking about the background of books, talk about what information is found in books, observe this lovely cattail, why should I read a book, and then finally, how do I find a book? So start off with this first one, background of books. So don't worry, this will be quick. So the first book in general that we consider to be a book is the Gutenberg Bible. It was printed in 1455 in Latin, and like I said, this is commonly accepted as the first book. And this was all made possible with the invention of the printing press in 1440. So how does a book get published? Well, first off, you need to write the book. Then the next thing is you need to find a publisher who is willing to take your book and publish it. So you will get an advance salary to allow you to keep writing. Then you submit your book to editors. And then it's likely that you'll go back and forth with your editors, make lots of changes. Finally, you publish the book, but that is not the end because now you have to promote the book. So go on author talks, go on tours, all depends on the subject of your book. So biggest thing to remember with books is they have to make money. So that means that they have to cover something, so a topic that covers a lot of things that people will find interesting and want to read. So there are many different types of books, so let's go over some of those. So first off, the most commonly thought of type of book is the fiction novel. So a novel is fiction. So this is going to be your go-to. Popular fiction novels like mystery, sci-fi, fantasy, romance. They tell an entire story from beginning to end, and they are very likely to be found at a public library or a bookstore. Next up is a nonfiction book. So these are meant to be factual, and they can cover literally anything. Next, we have children's books. So you probably saw these as a child somewhere. They are often picture books and generally for ages 0 through 10. Next up, we have literature. So these are all those books you had to read in English class, whether or not you enjoyed them. Because you are usually like classics. Think of like Jane Austen, Moby Dick, something like that. Next, we have comics or graphic novels. So these stories are told with artwork depicting the characters and the events throughout the story with a little bit of text. And then finally, academic books. So these are found mainly in academic libraries because they tend to have a much narrower audience and they are meant for research. So that means they're often going to cover a very broad topic and have lots of individual chapters that cover a more narrow topic related to that broader overall book. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So academic books have a slightly different publishing process than a novel. So first off, still, you have to write the book, find the publisher, submit it to the editors, go back and forth. But the thing to notice is that when you publish the book, it's going to be usually through an academic press. So you're going to see this when you look at where it was published. It's going to say something like Oxford University Press or University of North Carolina Press. And academic libraries tend to be the ones that purchase these books for the university libraries. Next up, information that is found in books, academic books. What is there? So these books that you want to look for are going to make your project and your research so much easier. I'm going to talk about why. So the first two main things that can be found in an academic book, research. Academic books are still full of research, but they cover a lot more than an academic article will. Remember we talked about how narrow and specific academic articles, well, these books will be a little bit more broader, and they're going to give you lots and lots of context, meaning that they're going to provide all of that background for your research project, And you're going to find a lot more information in a book than you would in an article. And the more information you have, the easier it is to do your final project. So let's talk about books and book chapters. So I selected a book up here on the top, and the title is Disability, Human Rights, and the Limitations of Humanitarianism. And I've copied in all of the different chapter titles here. So you can see that they're all related to this topic, but have much more specifics. So we've, in relation to disability and human rights, we're also talking about neoliberalism, poverty, media, globalization, employment policy, etc. So remember, all about the broad topic, but then each chapter a little bit more specific. So why should I read a book? You know, I don't want to read this entire book about humanitarianism when I only care about humanitarianism in India. Why would I read the entire book? So they're long. Why do I want to read it? Trust me on this one. So first off, these books are going to be so much easier to read than an academic journal article because they're going to be written in much more simple text, and they're going to explain concepts because they know that a wider audience is going to want to read them, needs to read them, and they still need to sell, so it has to be interesting to a wider audience. So they're going to be very, very broad. So they're going to cover that broad topic with individual chapters covering a bit more narrow aspect of that topic. And finally, you only need to read the chapter that is related to your topic. You do not need to read an entire book because remember, it's not like a novel. It does not cover a story from beginning to end. It's just lots of individual related chapters to a broader topic. So you can just select the chapters that are related to your topic, and really important thing here, those individual chapters, if they are written by different authors, which is very common, that there'll be a broad book about humanitarianism, they'll put out a call and ask for lots of writers to submit a chapter. So all those chapters have different authors. They can count as different sources. So that one book might have 3 sources. And trust me, we know that in your final projects, your professor has said that you need to have 5 to 10 sources. That is your main goal. Get those 5 to 10 sources. Here you go. This book might have 3 chapters that are all related to your topic, 3 chapters, 3 sources. You're so much closer. And remember, easier to read, a lot broader. So finally, finding books. We've talked about the background, what information is there, why would I want to read one? So now, you know, how do I get one? So I'm going to walk you through that process. Start off at the library homepage, library.uncc.edu. Hopefully this is looking familiar by now. We're going to put in the running topic we've been using, homelessness, into the middle search box. And now we're going to change on the left to let me back up a second. It gave me all articles. I don't want articles though. I want books. So over here on the left, where it says resource type, I have selected books and ebooks. And I'm going to update that because, look, found all these articles. We don't want those. That was the last chapter. So now I have changed it to books in print and books electronic. And remember, ebooks you have instant access to. So to get a print book, we'll talk about that in a second. I'm going to talk about how to access an ebook. So you want to look to where it says book electronic. And I've clicked on the title. And that has opened up, again, the second page, giving more information about the book, more tools in the middle, and in the middle down below where it says online access available. It's going to list off all of these things that, again, you don't need to know what they mean. You just want to click on them until you get to the ebook. But underneath, do you see that arrow way down at the bottom? I have trying to show you this link that says report a broken link. If you are trying to get to a book and for some reason it's asking you to pay or it's telling you it's not available, it can't find the page, if you click on that, it's going to bring up a form where you can put in information about the thing you're trying to get access to, the problems you're having, and someone from the library will get in touch with you directly if you put in your contact information, and they'll help you get to that book. And we put that in there so you don't have to come tell us about it and go back and forth. You can talk to the librarians who can fix that directly. I am not one of them. So I've clicked on one of those links and it has brought me to a page that looks something like this. Remember where I talked about with articles, all these different companies who make these books available online, their pages are all going to look a little bit different. But if you scroll down in general, it's going to have links to download each section of the book individually. You don't have to download that entire thing and scroll through like 200 pages. You can just download the chapters that you need. So in addition to the chapters you need, I also recommend downloading the introduction and if there's a conclusion, because they're going to give a lot more of the background about your topic and it's going to be more information for you to put into your final project. So now we're going to talk about how to get to a print book. So we're going to use the same book. All I did was I scrolled down a bit more and where it says location items, Atkins Library, it says it's available, item in place. What you need to know here is if you really want to be brave and go get it yourself, you can go to the 5th floor and follow that call number. It says HV4493, more letters and numbers. You don't need to know what that means. That's just the individual number and letter combination that's applied to the book, the call number, if you remember your elementary school library days, and that just shows where it's on the shelf and you'll follow alphabetically and numerically. If you don't feel like doing that, which let me tell you, as a librarian who literally works in the library, sometimes I don't even want to go up to the 5th floor and try and find the book myself. If you look up here in the top above where it says, please sign in to check if there are any request options, that's how you sign in to request the book through your account. So you'll click sign in. And if you haven't signed in before, you're gonna have to do a little bit of clicking. It knows I'm already logged in, so it's brought me back to this page where it says request, and it says again, request, look for that link. I've got it in the big arrow. You'll click on that, and you'll have the book. It'll have a few more questions for you about like where to pick it up, always at Atkins Library. Don't worry about all of that, just follow the prompts, it's pretty easy. And then you'll get an email when it is ready. And it'll be available on the 1st floor by that big checkout desk. It's that big wooden desk by the main entrance. There's a bookshelf, it's called the hold shelf because your book will be on hold. And it'll be by your last name. There'll be a slip of paper sticking out of the end of the book with your last name on it. Grab that, take it to the librarian at the desk. Sorry, I really should have made a slide for this. I'm so sorry, I'm just talking over this. We have videos on it. And you'll show them your UNCC ID and they will check it out for you. So let me jump back to this page. What I'm actually should be talking about is if you remember what I said about book chapters, if you scroll down a bit more on that same page, you're gonna get information. It's gonna look like just a lot of nonsense. You wanna look for something that says either contents or notes. So I've put that in the red box here. And all of this, just a bunch of words together, are the chapter titles of all the individual chapters. It looks like this book actually is in German also, maybe. But these chapter titles will also help tell you if this is a book that you want to check out or not. So if you can't tell from the title, if this is a book you want, you can come here, look at the chapter titles and be like, ah, yes, I see one on the homeland, homelessness, and cosmopolitanism. Perfect, that's exactly the chapter I want. I'm gonna get this book either electronically or from the library and use just that chapter. So the main thing that I want you to remember about books is they are going to give you the most amount of information to complete your project in the easiest to read format. So they seem overwhelming. Like look at this stack I have here on the right, on the back of this slide, right? That looks like just way too much information. I can't even deal with that. I just want an article. Remember, those articles they're just so hard to read. They're so tedious, they're so dry. These books are gonna be a little bit more interesting. They're gonna provide a lot more background. You only have to read the individual chapters. It's just gonna be so much easier to read. Just please trust me. Go grab books. Remember, you do not have to read it from beginning to end. Books are gonna make your project so much easier. Trust me on this, I am a librarian. So that is all for today. So thank you for watching this video on books. If you have any questions, you can find me at Atkins Library and at kluby@uncc.edu. And I am happy to answer and help you with any of the process of, I don't even know what kind of book to look for, to all the way to, I found a book I want, how do I get it? And I can help you with that.